All right, let's just jump right in. What if I told you there's a totally new way to look at human connection? I mean, not as some mystical, unknowable thing, but as a system. A system with actual rules, kind of like physics or economics. Well, we're about to explore a pretty mind-bending new work called the Trinket Soul Framework, and it argues for exactly that.
To really get what this theory is all about, we have to start right here, with this really startling admission from its creator. This quote, "This is the key." It's the origin story for the whole entire framework, and it comes from a mind that works in a way that, for most of us, is almost impossible to imagine.
So, to truly grasp the framework, we first have to understand the unique mind of the person who built it, because this isn't just some abstract academic theory. No, this was born out of pure, absolute necessity.
The specific words he uses here are so important. So, in February 2025, his wife takes a pretty normal month-long trip. But he didn't just feel lonely. What he felt was structural decay. He felt like the actual mechanics of his relationship were breaking down, like a system just losing energy. He saw it as a problem to be analyzed.
So why would he feel it that way? Well, it's because he has complete aphantasia. This means he has no mind's eye. He can't voluntarily create a mental image of anything, not a memory, not an idea, not even the face of someone he loves. So when he thinks about his wife, he can't picture her. There's just black.
And this slide really gives us the full picture. Aphantasia is just one piece of the puzzle. For 25 years, he's also managed bipolar disorder, which taught him early on that he couldn't always trust his feelings. He had to rely on external systems to get through the world. And on top of all that, he has misophonia, a condition where certain sounds literally cause him pain. You put it all together, and you have this perfect storm, a mind that was forced to find a totally different way to process reality.
So how does a mind like that cope? Well, it doesn't just cope. It develops a completely different method for understanding the world, especially the messy, complicated world of human relationships.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? For him, intuition, which for most of us relies on feelings and those mental images, it's just not a reliable tool. So where other people feel their way through life, he had to build his way through it. He had to reverse engineer the patterns that he could sense, but could never, ever see.
Okay, so this slide really breaks down his core challenge. Think about how you process an idea. It usually goes something like this. First, you get a gut feeling, a felt sense. Then, you probably form a mental picture, right? A kind of visual buffer where you can turn the idea over in your mind. And only then do you put it into words. Well, for the author, that middle step, it's just gone. It's missing. He has to go straight from that raw, fuzzy feeling right into structured language. Can you imagine that? It's like trying to describe a blueprint that you can feel in your hands, but you can't for the life of you actually see. That's the bottleneck he was dealing with every single day.
So how on earth did he get past that bottleneck? This is where the story takes a really fascinating and very modern turn. He found a tool that could finally give him what his own brain couldn't. Exactly 1 year after feeling that structural decay, he sat down with an AI. And for the next 96 hours, he had what he calls the single most productive creative experience of his entire life.
And the AI, named Claude, wasn't a co-author. It was what he called a renderer. Its job was to be that missing piece in his mind, that external visual buffer. The author would describe a pattern he could feel, and the AI would basically render it back to him as organized language, as formal analogies that he could finally look at and analyze. This whole process was a complete game changer for him. He'd articulate a feeling something like, connection feels like it's getting colder. The AI would then render that idea using the principles of thermodynamics. And for the first time, he could inspect that formal analogy, refine it, and build out an entire system of thought piece by piece. He could finally see his own thinking.
And what came out of this process is just as radical as the method itself. It really moves us away from these vague ideas about romance and feeling and into what he calls the physics of connection. And that brings us to the Trinket Soul Framework. It's this incredibly comprehensive theory that models human relationships and connection by using the language of other complex systems, which, of course, is the very language his mind speaks fluently.
Now, it's really important to get this. These aren't just clever metaphors he came up with. For him, this is literally how he perceives the world. He sees connection as a thermodynamic system. Without a constant input of energy, that's things like attention, effort, shared experiences, it naturally decays. It falls apart. That's entropy, right?
And relationships, he sees them as these little microeconomies, where we're constantly exchanging currencies like trust, vulnerability, and support. And just like real markets, they can fail, they can crash. And this one is wild. He models our very identities like saved computer files, where our relationships can build up technical debt, all those unresolved issues that just slow everything down until you finally go back and fix the code. It's a completely new language for talking about connection.
And what started as this deeply personal project to understand his own marriage, well, it quickly ballooned into something much, much bigger. The framework's applications turned out to be shockingly broad. Just look at some of these chapter titles from the source material. It gives you a sense of the jaw-dropping scope of this thing. He applies the framework to, well, everything. Grief isn't just sadness, it's a catastrophic collapse of a core system with predictable aftershocks. He uses it to explore the ethics of AI companions, warning of something he calls a satisfaction trap. And he reframes societal loneliness, not as some personal failing, but as a system-wide breakdown in our signal environment, where the signals for real connection are just getting drowned out. I mean, it is unbelievably ambitious.
And the scale of it is just immense. The final work isn't just a single book. We're talking about a complete 5-volume collection that covers everything from individual psychology to AI ethics and even huge civilizational trends.
The whole point of this is that it has real-world applications. It's designed to give new, concrete tools to therapists, to the people who are building our next generation of AI, to policymakers who are trying to tackle loneliness, and really to any of us just trying to figure out our own relationships.
And that brings us to the big, provocative question that's really at the heart of this entire project. It's a question that completely reframes our most basic human need. If connection really does follow predictable, structural rules, if it has a physics, then maybe we can do more than just hope for it. Maybe we could actually engineer a less lonely, more connected world. That's the powerful, hopeful idea this framework leaves us with.